Hello, it's Alex, the Bookubus. Today I'm going to be sharing a book haul, and I have, over the past month or two, accumulated quite a lot of books. It's over 50, maybe 60, I'm not even sure. So it's quite a lot, and most of them are vintage horror paperbacks from a few different library book sales that I've been to. And I put a poll up on Instagram recently asking if you would rather I do just one mega haul video or if I should split it into two, and the majority said to do two videos. So this is going to be part one, and I will hopefully be bringing you part two in a couple of weeks. And before I get into the books, I did want to mention a couple of things. One is that I was very excited to be a part of the Harpy Halloween video over on Mercer's channel, Harpies in the Trees. She clearly put so much time and effort and spooky goodness into that video, and yeah, it turned out really amazing, and yeah, I'm just very happy to be a small part in it. And I loved watching everyone's contributions to the video. There's a really awesome bunch of booktube people that are included, and yeah, if you haven't seen it for some crazy reason yet, then I will leave it linked below so you can go check it out. And yes, I am wearing the horns again. I bought them recently on a whim. I think I might just wear them all the time now because they're cool. And another thing, just a fun one, is I have a Halloween Spotify playlist that is over 10 hours long. So if you haven't gotten a Halloween playlist together yet and you need some music for the season, then I will leave that linked below if you want to give it a listen. It's yeah, I think quite a good variety of different things, and give it a listen, stick it on shuffle and enjoy it, or you can have a look through and pick out your favourites and make your own playlist from the ones you like and skip the ones you don't like. So anyway, it's a lot of fun, I think, and yeah, with over 10 hours worth, hopefully there should be enough to keep everyone happy in there. So I did already, in classic movie magic fashion, already film the actual book portion of the book haul, but since filming that and getting to hop in front of the camera to film this section, I did pop in to a thrift store and I picked up a few more books. It was just one of those things where I'm looking for certain items. Books wasn't one of them, but you know, if you go into a thrift store, you have to look at the books. So yes, I walked out with a few more, and I figured rather than setting up the whole thing all over again, I'll just show these ones here in person. So let's see, these are all from the Salvation Army, so thank you to the Sally Ann for this horror goodness. We have a copy of The Girl Next Door by Jack Ketchum, and I do already have a copy of this. It's the really awesome, I think 1989 edition with the skeleton cheerleader on the front, and I have already read it, 5-star read, but I figured I would pick this edition up too because it was in good shape. And this one also has a couple of Jack Ketchum's short stories in here, so I figured bonus, why not grab it? I also found two Bentley Little novels. One of them is Dominion, and I haven't even looked at the backs of these yet. These are literally fresh from the shelves in the thrift store, but yeah, the one of his that I've read I enjoyed, so I figured I would grab these since I saw them. The other one is The Store, and yeah, both of these were in really great condition, so couldn't leave them behind. Next up is The Birds and the Bees by Sephora Jerome, and yeah, she's an author I've been curious to read but haven't ever stumbled upon any of her books until now, so I was very happy to find this one. In the same little section they also had The Killing Kind by Brian Smith, and I've never read any of his work, not familiar with him honestly, and I don't know what this one is about, but I mean, come on, was I going to leave this behind? Clearly not. And last up is The Haunted Graveyard and Other True Ghost Stories by Alan Zulo, and obviously couldn't resist this super cool cover with the graveyard, and yeah, this one just looks like a good spooky time. So on to the rest of the books that I found. There are a few new ones, and then the rest of them are from library book sales. There was one that I went to that was very fruitful and really awesomely priced, so I was happy to find some great goodies at that one. Then there was another one that we went to that we both walked out empty-handed. It was very disappointing. And then there was a third one which was also pretty disappointing, but I did find two things and I figured to make the trip worthwhile I would grab them. So yeah, anyway, there's a lot of books here that I'm super excited about, and I hope you enjoy seeing what I found and looking at a lot of awesome vintage horror book cover art. So yeah, let's do this. So first up, I was very excited to be the lucky winner of a giveaway that Regina over at Regina's Haunted Library held recently, and I won this amazing jack-o'-lantern pail. And yeah, just look at this guy, he's brilliant, and the eyes and the mouth are like a semi-transparent type of paper, so I think it will look really good with a candle inside. And yeah, this is just a lovely spooky little fellow. And we've got this big bag, £2 worth of missing body parts. I love jelly sweets, so I'm very excited to dive into these. And it says right here, Goblin approved, so good to know. And not only that, but there were a couple of other items included in the giveaway. We have a copy of Remembering the Dead, a book of poems, which I am looking forward to giving a read. A Local Haunts bookmark, which is a fantastic anthology. I'd definitely recommend checking it out if you haven't already. And a copy of Remorgue magazine, which is, let's see, the January-February of this year edition. I've had a quick flip through and yeah, it looks awesome, so I need to delve in a little deeper to that one when I get a chance. But yes, thank you ever so much to Regina for hosting such a generous giveaway, and I am very lucky to have had the stars align in my favour and be the winner. So yes, thank you so much. Moving on to a couple of new books that I got recently. These two were very kindly sent to me by a friend of mine, so thank you. I'm very much looking forward to reading them. The first one is Absorbed by Kylie Whitehead, and this is about a couple and their relationship, I think, is kind of stagnating, and the main character starts to absorb her boyfriend. I think is what happens here. So yeah, sounds good. And it says here, it's a darkly comic story of female insecurity, body horror, and modern relationships. So that sounds great. And the other book is Dead Relatives, which is a short story collection by Lucy McKnight Hardy. And this is a fairly new release. I think it just came out in October. And I had read her debut novel, Water Shall Refuse Them, which I really enjoyed. So I am really keen to read more of her work. And yeah, looking forward to diving into those. And then I have one more new book, which is Yours Cruelly, Elvira, Memoirs of the Mistress of the Dark by Cassandra Peterson. And I have a signed edition, which is very exciting. If I can get to the right page. There we go, signed by Cassandra Peterson herself. I had seen that Barnes & Noble were doing a virtual event with her for the release of the book, and yeah, basically the ticket price included the event and a signed copy of the book. So I signed up for that pretty sharpish, and the event was really cool. Yeah, it was really awesome, and I am now very much looking forward to reading the book. I'm hoping to get to this in November. It is non-fiction November, which, if you aren't familiar with that, I would suggest heading over to abookolive's channel and finding out details of that. But yeah, I'm not a huge non-fiction reader, but I will try to at least squeeze this one in. So yeah, this should be really fun. Okay, so the rest of the books that I have to share are from a couple of library book sales that I went to recently. So some of the prices did vary, but I mean, some of them were as cheap as 25 cents. So yeah, generally they were all very cheap, and that's probably why I bought so many. They are mostly vintage horror paperbacks because, hi, I'm me, but there are a few other things in here too, and in no particular order, we have Certain Dark Things by Sylvia Moreno Garcia. This is a vampire story. I believe it's more dark fantasy or urban fantasy maybe than like strictly horror, but I think there might be, you know, kind of a crossover, and I do love a good vampire story, and this is one that has been on my radar for a good few years now, but I just hadn't picked it up yet. I think it did recently get a new release, but yeah, I was very happy to find this hardback edition. It's an ex-library copy, but that's okay with me. It's still in really good shape, so yeah, looking forward to reading this one. And I have a copy of The Last Days of Jack Sparks by Jason Arnott, and this is a really old advanced reading copy. This is one I've heard good things about, and again have been meaning to read for quite some time, so I was very happy to finally stumble upon a copy. And I think this is about maybe he's a YouTuber, and I think he's a skeptic that's looking into like supernatural and occult stuff, and ends up getting the opportunity to video an exorcism, and of course things go horribly wrong. And yeah, I know Stephanie from That's What She Read and the Books in the Freezer podcast, she's always talked really highly of this, so yeah, very happy to have a copy of this. Here is a copy of Moon by James Herbert, and I have enjoyed the couple of novels of his that I've read so far, and whenever I see other books of his I always pick them up, and I do look forward to reading more of his work. So yeah, this was a good find. Mr. Hands by Gary A. Brownbeck. This is another one I've heard good things about. I think it's supposed to be pretty dark, and I was really pleased to stumble upon a copy. And this one, I think involves a creepy doll. Other than that, I'm not sure, but I am curious to find out. The Unholy by Paul Stewart Kemp. This is an author I am not familiar with, but it looked like it might be interesting, so I snapped it up. And it says on the back that he is one of England's darkest writers. I haven't heard of him, so I am not sure. If you have, and if you've read any of his work, you'll have to let me know what you thought. But this one seems like a couple move out to the countryside, they use a Ouija board, and that's never going to go well. So Maybe it's some kind of haunted house story. I will have to read it and find out. Okay, so this was quite an exciting find. It's always fun to see some William W. Johnstone out in the wild, and I do normally stumble upon lots of his cowboy books because he wrote tons of those, but it's not often that I find his horror. So yeah, I was very happy to find this, and it's one of the crazy zebra covers. This is Cat's Eye. It purred with pleasure and hissed with evil. And yes, this one is a little worse for wear. It has definitely seen some better days, but it will find a good home in my collection, and it just sounds mad, quite honestly. So that's awesome. I found book 1, book 2 and book 3 of the Vampire Diaries series by L.J. Smith. The Awakening, The Struggle and The Fury. And I do already have a copy of the first one, and I have already read it, but this copy was in a little bit better shape than the one I have, so I figured I'd grab it, and I found them all 3 at the same library book sale, so I figured it's a ready-made collection, I would grab it. And yeah, I think my review of the first one was that, you know, it was somewhat entertaining, it was pretty good, there were some things I liked about it and some things not so much, and I probably wasn't going to go out of my way to track down the other books in the series, but if I happened to stumble upon them, then I would, and yeah, I did indeed happen to stumble upon them, so that was cool. And I really do love these covers. I think they're really awesome. So yes, I was very happy to find them. Another vintage YA title is Crash Course by Nicole Davidson. This one is quite ripped here on the cover, which is a shame, but so it goes. This one says, a secluded cabin on the lake was a perfect place to study or to die. Dun dun dun. Got a big old crease in the back cover here, but that's fine. And yeah, this one could be a fun one. I couldn't resist this one. Kiss of the Vampire by Lee Weathersby. I mean, just look at that cover. Look at these vampires. This vampire trio in front of a full moon. It's all going on. And the tagline for this says, for a master vampire, revenge can be a bloody family affair. So, okay, sign me up. Again, this one is a bit worse for wear, but you know, that's all right. And yeah, this is a zebra title, so who knows what it's going to be like. I'm just going to have to read it to find out. I was super excited to find a copy of this, Blood Roots by Richie Tankersley Cusick. And this has such a great cover, and it's all embossed, and it has the metallic red title and author name. So good. And she wrote a bunch of young adult titles back in the 90s, including some that came out in the Point Horror series. But this, I believe, is one of her adult books. I think she wrote a couple of those, and I've been really curious to read them, but yeah, just haven't stumbled upon them and hadn't, you know, specifically tracked them down. So I was very happy to find this one. And this one sounds like some kind of dark family history and a house with something terrible going on. I'm not sure, but yeah, if the cover's anything to go by, it's going to be amazing. The Revelation by Bentley Little. I have read one other of his books. It was The Mailman, and it was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. So I was really happy to find another of his books. And this one, I'm not sure what it's about, but looks like some kind of small town creepy stuff starts happening. So yeah, somewhat similar to The Mailman. I think he does sometimes work to a bit of a formula, but yeah, I look forward to giving this one a go sometime. A Small Dark Place by Martin Schenk. This is another one that I hadn't heard of before. I'm not familiar with the author, but it says it's a novel of terror, so you know, that sounds alright to me, and I will give it a go. It sounds like a family are struggling financially and, I don't know, maybe put their daughter in some kind of danger in the hopes of receiving financial aid from Good Samaritans. And yeah, then the story seems to pick up and she is returning to her hometown. But yeah, I don't know, that sounds kind of interesting, so I will give it a go sometime. Dark Dreaming by Pat Franklin. This one has a blurb on the front by Andrew Niederman, so that's pretty cool. And I was really just taken in by the pink on the spine and the cover. I haven't read anything by this author before, but yeah, seems like something to do with dreams and nightmares and creepy stuff, so could be fun. Another vintage YA title. I think this one might be some kind of maybe supernatural romance. I don't know, but it's called Ghost Behind Me by Eve Bunting. And it says, the ghost is pulling her into his past. Can she resist his dark allure? Probably not, is what I'm gonna go with. And I do like that cover. And this one is weirdly missing a barcode on the back, so that's kind of odd. But yeah, seems like teenage girl meets a ghost. So yeah, we will see what that one is like. Mind Spell by Kay Nolte Smith. And the blurb on the front just kind of says it all, really. It says, a page-turning tale of suspense and romance, teeming with witchcraft, reincarnation, devil worship, curses, spiritualism, recombinant DNA, hypnotism, and schizophrenia. So yeah, they're claiming a lot. A lot is going on in this book. I mean, yeah, what can you say really to all of that? But I do like this cover. I need to get rid of this sticker that was on the front, which is super annoying. But yeah, you can't go wrong with like a creepy house on the cover, and yeah, one that's on fire is just even better, really. So this one might be an interesting one. It does sound like there's a lot going on here, and that could be a good thing, it could be a bad thing. So we will give it a read and find out. Okay, so these books are quite heavy and large, and they're not really fitting into frame, so I'm just showing the spines here. But these are some of the Time Life collection, Mysteries of the Unknown, and yeah, found 6 of them that are each in like a folder per 3 books. And I know there are tons of these in this Mysteries of the Unknown series, but I don't own any of them until now, so was very happy to find these. And wow, they're really heavy. So yeah, here is the folder, the exterior, and I'll try and show you each book. So we have Mystic Places, the UFO phenomenon, mysterious creatures, time and space, mind over matter, and phantom encounters. And let's have a little flip through this one. It has these really cool, like, silvered metallic pages, I guess to emphasize the ghostly nature of the contents, which is pretty cool. So yeah, these look like fun ones to have a flip through. Okay, I've got 5 books left and I'm going to save, I think, my favourite 2 till the end. So next up is this hardback, The Mammoth Book of Vampire Stories by Women, edited by Stephen Jones. I mean, yeah, sold, really, don't need to even say much more. But then I noticed that it's introduced by Ingrid Pitt, who is amazing. She was like one of the Hammer horror actresses. She was in stuff like Countess Dracula, which is one of my favourites. So yeah, I was really pleased to find this, and I think it could be a good time. Mystery of Mordack Castle by William McKellar. I did admittedly buy this one purely based on the amazing cover. It looks so cool. I love the artwork. And this is a children's book. I think it might be set in Scotland, and obviously there's a castle involved, so yeah, that's just ticking a lot of boxes there. And yeah, just thought that was kind of a fun find. Who else remembers Ghost Rider? Because I do. It was bloody brilliant. If you aren't familiar with Ghost Rider, it was about this group of kids, and they would always have, you know, some kind of mystery or something that they were having to investigate in each episode. And there was this ghost or something, I don't actually remember the details, that would help them and give them clues and stuff. I'm honestly a little hazy on the details, but I remember loving it back in the day. And this character in particular was called Alex, and I might have had a little bit of a crush on him. So anyway, this one is Steer Clear of Haunted Hill by Eric Weiner, and this is very exciting. Yeah, it's a double-sided book. So on the one side, we've got Gabby's eyewitness account, and on the other it's Alex's eyewitness account. How cool is that? Yeah, I just thought that was a really fun find, and yeah, the memory of the show Ghost Rider was giving me all the nostalgia. So this was a really fun find. Okay, so we're on to the last 2 books. One of them is Raising Hell, an encyclopedia of devil worship and satanic crime by Michael Newton. I have seen a picture of this book online and thought it looked really cool, and one of the library book sales we went into, I always head straight for the mass market paperback section, and this was the first thing that grabbed my eye, so I was very excited and super pleased to find it, because I don't think it seems to come up very often for sale online. And when I got home from this particular trip, I did look it up, and they were selling for like crazy prices. So yeah, I was very happy to find one for 25 cents. And yeah, I mean, really it's exactly what it says on the tin. So it's a true crime kind of compilation, which is quite interesting. And what an amazing cover. And last but certainly not least is We Have Always Lived in the Castle by Shirley Jackson. This is such a gorgeous edition of it, and yeah, I was just flabbergasted to have stumbled upon this one. I grabbed it and was just, you know, hyperventilating over it, and showed my husband, and he was like, "Are you crying?" And I'm like, "No." So yeah, anyway, this was a great find, and I found it in the children's section of the book sale. So that's just a reminder to, you know, always have a good browse around, because you just never know where you might find things. I think they do tend to split things up into, you know, different types of book, but you know, it's never going to be perfect, so there's bound to be things that are put in the wrong section, or maybe someone had picked it up thinking they were going to buy it and then changed their mind and just put it back in a random spot. Either way, I was very happy to be the one to stumble upon it and take it home with me for 25 cents. It does have a rip on the cover here, but it's actually not too noticeable. And yeah, this was just such an awesome find. This is one of my favourite books, and I always look for Shirley Jackson books when I'm in thrift stores and library book sales, etc. And in all my years of doing it, I've only found one other Shirley Jackson book. So this is only the second one ever that I've found. But yes, very excited to have done so. So those were all of the books, and yeah, quite a lot, but this is book sale season. Like in the area that I live, a lot of the libraries here do book sales twice a year, in the spring and the autumn, and for the past year or so they haven't really been doing them at all. So this is like the first time in quite a while that they're really getting back into doing them. So yeah, obviously not going to pass up the opportunity to browse through a bunch of books and find some goodies. You know, it's going to be another 6 months before these kind of things happen again, so you got to take these opportunities when you're presented with them. And yes, I did mention that this is part 1 of 2, so the other book sale that I went to was actually back in early September, and it was one where they had this like ginormous outbuilding that was just being used for the book sale. I think the ad that I'd seen had described it as being like 200,000 books or something. So yeah, it was quite an experience, and I found quite a few good things. I think I got about 30 books at that particular place, and again, all for like crazily cheap prices. So yeah, anyway, hopefully I will get that video together in a couple of weeks, and yeah, I guess I'll wrap this up. But I hope you enjoyed seeing the books I found recently, and do let me know if you've read any of them. I would love to hear what you thought about them. And Halloween is only a week away. I'm looking forward to the big day itself, but I will be sad when it's over. You know, I think most of us like spooky stuff all year round, and we read horror, we watch horror all the time, but for me, and I'm sure for a lot of you as well, it's just nice to like, there's a different feeling at this time of year, I think, that a lot of us really like and connect with, and it's just nice to kind of make a special effort, you know, to do certain things in the season and in the run up to Halloween that we might not do, you know, during the rest of the year. So yeah, on the one hand, yes, Halloween is every day, but on the other hand, Halloween is only one day a year. So yeah, anyway, rambling now, so I will sign off. Thank you ever so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and hopefully I will see you again in my next video. Bye!